All right. In today's reference, we're going to look at just solving two-step equations, and we'll look at four examples, starting with the very traditional type, and then getting to some more tricky types. So we're going to focus on the eighth grade method. So I'm going to try to avoid changing subtraction to plus and negative, and at some points you'll be tempted to want to switch things on different sides or reverse things, but I'm going to try to just keep everything the way it is. So with two-step equations, the first thing you always have to do basically with any equation is undo operations. So copy this down by doing opposite. So with two-step equations, you're always going to undo the addition and subtraction first. So first, add or subtract to both sides. So like we learned in seventh grade, if you do one thing to one side of equation, you do it to the other. And then second, usually with the two-step equation, you're going to undo the multiplication or division. So you'll have to do that second by multiplying or dividing, to both sides. All right, so hopefully you're able to squeeze that in there, and let's look at the four examples today. For the first one, this is a pretty traditional two-step equation. You can see that the x is on the left side of the equation, so you can put a line here. So this is left, and this is right. So the x is on the left side. Everything looks nice and easy to do. So can someone tell me the first step of this two-step equation? So you're right, you minus 5 here, minus 5 here. So again, we undo the addition or subtraction, do it to both sides. You're left with negative 3x equals 27. Now we got to do the second thing, undo the multiplication division. The opposite of multiplying is to divide each side by negative 3. And we're going to get, this cancels out. You're left with x equals negative 9. Okay, so in the next example, a couple things we're going to try to look at. So don't write this part down. In seventh grade, most of you guys don't like that the x was here on the right side. So a lot of you guys would just go x divided by negative 2 minus 5 equals 12. Put it to the left side. But instead, I'm just going to leave it that way. This is a backwards problem. And I'm going to continue by getting rid of addition or subtraction. The first step again, instead of minusing 5 to both sides, what am I going to do now? I'm going to add 5 here, get rid of that minus 5, add 5 here. And this cancels. I'm left with 17 equals x divided by negative 2. That fraction line means division. So can someone tell me the next step in the two-stepper? So this is to multiply both sides by negative 2. Multiply by negative 2, you do the opposite of division, and you're left with x equals negative 34. Again, if you want to see it clear, this is right here, step 1, and then right here, this is step 2. All right, so the next two-stepper, it's not backwards, but I call these weirdos. Can anyone tell me what looks weird about that equation? Yeah, that negative 4 is there. So again, don't write this part down. Maybe in seventh grade, you go like this, 8x minus 4 equals 36, and kind of just switch these positions. But we're not going to do that because we're in eighth grade now. We're going to try to just go with it. So even though this is addition, what's the only way to get rid of this negative 4? Yeah, we're going to add 4 to both sides. Add 4, because we know that a negative 4 plus a positive 4 is just 0. So this is left with 8x equals 40. So that's step 1. Step 2 is just to get rid of multiplication by dividing each side by 8. We're left with x equals 5. And then in our last example, example D, it's a backwards weirdo problem. So in a backwards weirdo problem, you can see that the x is on the right side, which we don't like, and there's a 5 here instead of it being over here. So again, don't write this down. If this was 7th grade, maybe you would change this over here and put 5 minus x over 3 equals 10. And then you don't like that it's backwards, so maybe you'd put negative x over 3 plus 5 equals 10. But we're going to do that. We're not going to do any of that. So we are going to start by doing what? How are we going to get? Are we going to add 5 or subtract 5 to both sides? So to get rid of that 5, we're literally just going to minus 5 here, minus 5 here. 5 equals, now this part's a little different. The negative I can really put, or the minus, but we're going to see it as a negative. I can put it with the x or the 3. So I'm just going to do x divided by negative 3, just so I continue with just 2 steps. So now what's the next step to get rid of the divide by negative 3? We're going to multiply by negative 3, multiply by negative 3. So again, don't worry that the x is on the right side instead of the left side. This cancels, and I'm left with x equals negative 15. So I hope that helps you with some of the 2-step equations and to see the difference between a backwards problem, a weirdo problem, and a backwards weirdo.